It was May the 9th, 1945. On this particular day, brave colored protesters of South Florida engaged in an act of civil disobedience led by an attorney who would eventually become Miami's first black judge, a man by the name of Mr. Lawson Thomas. These protesters partook in the wade-in. A wade-in is when one puts their feet in the water or walks around in it. The protesters went wading in the water at the Baker's Haulover. They did this with the goal of getting arrested and drawing attention to themselves, and to challenge the Jim Crow laws, as people of color did not have their own beach and were not permitted on any beach in South Florida unless it was for work. The protest was successful and no one got arrested, as South Florida bigwigs did not want bad publicity coming to the beautiful, sunny South Florida. The black community and politicians of South Florida got together, and in no time, Virginia Key Beach, also known as Colored Beach, was born. Mrs. May Dell Braynon is one of the protesters who put her feet in the water that day. So one member in particular I want to ask you about is May Dell Braynon. Now, did you know, I was looking at some research and I learned that she actually was big in civil rights because she actually put her foot in the water at Virginia Key Beach. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And because she put her foot, she was one of the people who put her feet in the water. that Virginia Key Beach became a beach for black people. What can you tell me about her in general? Her personality, her. What do you know? What can you talk about her? Okay.
Mrs. May Dell Braynon was how should we say, a fiery little lady.
Okay.
She got things done. She spoke her mind. She was a hard worker. If she set her mind to get something done or to achieve something, she would work tirelessly. And she had followers who would support her and work with her. And she always would talk about her husband and her family, how they would support her. And organizations or clubs that were part of her organization, she would work hard to make sure everybody contributed, whether it was money, whether it was working, whatever they could do to make sure that whatever she was doing was successful. And it wasn't just for her, it was for the benefit of the church or the neighborhood or the community. She was something else. She had a big heart. She was always giving, always doing. And if she said something or did something she didn't like, she would let you know. She would not talk under her arm. She would tell you up front. But she loved St. Paul. She loved the church. Yeah, she was a real go-getter. I miss her.
So did she ever I'm just curious, does the church know that she actually was, that she actually put her foot in the water?
You know what? A lot of people didn't. And even to this day, I don't think they do, especially because there's so many people who passed away, and we got a lot of younger people now who's not aware of a lot of the history and stuff or the contribution that older people, like some of us had made. So I think you're absolutely right. I don't think there's a lot of people who's aware of that.
Yeah, that's big. I came across that by surprise. I was reading something because my great grandmother, not my great aunt, her sister, who's an usher as well at the church. I I found the card thing, whatever, and I was just doing some research about Miami Beach and the beaches, whatever, and then I just came across Miss Braynon's name. That's how I found out. I had no idea until I read the article that she was a part of that, history, and I was really surprised about that, and I think that our church, I mean, everyone should know that, and then her son became a judge.
Yeah.
Her other daughter became a famous poet,
A writer too.
writer as well, and then her other son became the Basilisk of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yeah.
I mean, her children did really big things.
They did well.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, you can't ignore these things,
She and she was so proud of them, and they would come like family and friends day, and then her grands and great grands, and they would have things like, the family that had the most people that came, and she would always get up and introduce children, and they would come and celebrate and buy these Mother's Day things that she would come and show that, look, my husband bought this and my children did this and they did that, and they doing well in school and college, and they were. Even the doctor, as long as I can remember, he would, once he moved away, he would come back to our church and enjoy service with us. But yeah, she would talk about the little store that her husband and her had. One of the few businesses, I think it was on 17th. I think she had a store on 17th Avenue, a grocery store. And she would talk about the things they would do and how they would help people, not just as far as spending, but in other ways, giving and helping people who couldn't afford.
Mr. Lawson's wife was afraid. She was afraid that Mr. Lawson was not going to come home alive on that day. However, it's because of his bravery, Miss Braynon's bravery, and the bravery of the other protesters that the separate but equal laws were honored, and blacks were finally able to enjoy South Florida's finest possession, the beach. These relaxing and classic photos show beachgoers chilling and having fun on Virginia Key Beach. These photos were taken around and or between 1945 and 1958. It's really inspiring to see them in their fun element, not taking life so seriously, in their self-care mode, getting the vitamin D, connecting with one another, and just vibing. This is a photo of Marva Bannerman as she hangs out on Virginia Key Beach. She would become one of the first black female administrators in the Miami-Dade Park and Recreation Department. And there is actually a park named after her on 48th Street and 24th Avenue. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.